Right now, your phone has buzzed at least 3 times since you sat down. There are 14 tabs open in your browser. You meant to do one thing today, and somehow it is 4 p.m., and that thing is still untouched. Sound familiar? Most people would call that ADHD. Most people would be wrong. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The world you live in was engineered, down to the pixel, to fracture your attention. Every notification, every autoplay, every infinite scroll was designed by teams of behavioral scientists whose entire job was to make sure you cannot stop. So when you cannot focus, the obvious question is this: are you broken, or are you just human in a machine that was built to break you? The answer matters more than you think. Psychiatrist Edward Hallowell, who has spent 4 decades studying attention disorders, draws a sharp line between what he calls a true deficit and what he calls a culturally induced one. His argument is simple. Everyone struggles to focus in 2024, but people with ADHD struggle to focus everywhere, always, even when there are 0 distractions, even when the stakes are high, even when they desperately want to pay attention. That is not a choice. That is not laziness. That is neurology. Your brain runs on dopamine. When you do something rewarding, dopamine floods the circuits that link effort to satisfaction. It tells your brain, that was worth it. Do it again. In most brains, this system hums along reliably enough to sustain attention through tasks that are boring or difficult. But research by Dr. Nora Volkow at the National Institutes of Health found that people with ADHD have measurably fewer dopamine receptors in the regions of the brain responsible for motivation and impulse control. Their brain is not lazy. It is dopamine starved. It is constantly scanning the environment for something, anything, that might finally deliver a signal strong enough to feel real. Now here is where it gets strange. The modern world, with its infinite content and instant rewards, mimics exactly what an ADHD brain is always craving. A notification hits, dopamine spikes, you click, you scroll, you feel a brief flicker of something, then it fades, and you chase it again. If you have ADHD, this is not a bad habit. It is your neurology responding perfectly to an environment that was designed to exploit it. But if you do not have ADHD, this loop still catches you. It still trains your attention circuits to expect constant novelty. It still makes long, slow, deep work feel almost physically painful. Dr. Gloria Mark at the University of California, Irvine found that after a digital interruption, the average person takes 23 minutes to return to their original task. 23 minutes. Every time. That is not ADHD. That is a brain doing exactly what brains do when they are repeatedly interrupted. So how do you tell the difference? Ask yourself this. Put your phone in another room. Close every tab. Sit in a silent space with one task you genuinely want to complete. Can you do it? Not easily, maybe. Not without effort. But can you sustain it? If yes, if the architecture of distraction was the problem and removing it helps, your attention is intact. It has just been trained into chaos. But if the silence does not help, if your mind still races and skips and loops back on itself, if you have always been this way, in school, in childhood, in every environment, regardless of what the environment contains, that is a different conversation. That is worth having with someone who can actually look at your neurology and not just your screen time. The world has gotten very good at making everyone feel broken, but there is a difference between a wound and a bruise. One lives inside you, the other was put there from outside. Knowing which one you carry does not fix everything, but it is the only place to start. Right now, your phone has probably buzzed again. The question is whether that bothers you or whether it always has.